Here we go again. Keemstar has now put his gnome hat in the ring to build a museum for video games. Where have I heard this before? Now, honestly, John Hancock probably isn't a big fan of this tweet from Keemstar because it basically exposes what he was trying to do for a while without actually going through with anything. I mean, we've all been through this ringer before. We already know that John Hancock has said he's been making a museum for many, many years now. You can search his history of YouTube videos. It goes back, I believe, 4 years, maybe more than that, and still nothing to show for it except getting a whole bunch of donations and free stuff from his fans with the intention that these games would be going towards a game museum that never actually came to fruition. Okay, great. But now we got Keemstar with a tweet saying, hey guys, I own 7% of every platform game ever made in existence, physical form, and I'm thinking I want to make a museum now. Okay, a little bit more legitimate coming from a much larger YouTuber, which a much larger bankroll, and this guy has grandiose plans and is scheming already in the background to put this together. But I'm not really going to be holding my breath on Keemstar's museum either. I'm starting to wonder, like, what the deal is with YouTubers asking, like, proactively asking for donations, which he does in this tweet, that if he gets them, he'll be able to put a museum together and people will be able to go to this museum and explore it and enjoy it for what it is. I don't get it. I mean, I already covered this in a previous video. I will link it here. My initial video talking about John Hancock's museum and my thoughts on it and why I didn't think it was a great idea, even if it was a reality, even if it was something that he truly was genuinely working on and not some sort of scummy scam just trying to get free games because he's a hoarder or something like that. But honestly, I have the same feelings with Keemstar doing it. I don't understand the need for a video game museum. I just don't. You know, art is something you gaze upon and look at, and it's typically something you can't afford, and people will hear that and say, well, there are plenty of expensive video games you can't afford, and video games are art and all this other stuff. Yeah, I get it. Okay. You want to make a game museum out of expensive video games? Maybe I could see that being more realistic, but at the end of the day, it's a form of art. But is it an art form that needs to be put in a museum that you walk around and look at? I don't know. To me, that's just kind of strange, especially in this era. Like in my other video, I talk about, you know, hundreds of years from now, maybe it'd be something people care about. But right now, I don't know. I feel like it's just kind of a marketing ploy to get people to pay money for something that really isn't necessary. Not to mention, if you do want to go to a museum of video games, as people pointed out in the comments and I researched afterwards, plenty of them already exist. So I don't understand the need for yet another one if that's what they're going for. Now, back to this whole Keemstar thing and John Hancock's museum and how they relate to each other. I'm going to be real. My personal, humble opinion is I don't believe John Hancock is making a museum. I think he set out with the intentions of putting one together, and I think he eventually fell in over his head with it and realized that it's not something that he'd be able to realistically do, not to mention, in a way, it would be kind of parting with his games, and this dude strikes me as a guy who's addicted to his own games and wouldn't want to let them out of his sight, never mind in another house or in another place where other people could look at them all day long. Yeah, I know he brought a collection to an expo once for people to see his complete Sega Master System collection or whatever, or Genesis, I don't know. But the idea of him separating himself from his entire video game collection for good is just laughable to me. That's not happening. It's just not. I mean, I hope he proves me wrong, but I'd like to think I know better based off of history, based off of surrounding circumstances, based off of how he's handled criticism by trying to strike channels that dare question him, none of it really adds up. Now, as far as Keemstar doing it, is it more realistic? Yes, but not by a lot. And here's the issue with Keemstar. I've followed Keemstar on and off over the years because he frustrates me. He'll say random things and then completely back away and lie, or they'll just never have happened in his mind and move on from it, because he tries to do too many things at once and it all falls through his hands. I remember a long time ago, he was talking to other channels about how easy it is to start on YouTube. If you're a good YouTuber, you'll get noticed, the cream rises to the top. And he said something about he's going to make an alt account starting at 0 as a social experiment to prove that all these small YouTubers out there that aren't getting subscribers, it's not because the algorithm is against them. It's not because they're not getting noticed. It's because they suck. And he was going to prove to everyone why he could be successful again, starting from 0, hiding his voice or manipulating his voice so people didn't know it was him. And he was going to create a channel that would be successful to prove to everyone that you could be successful on YouTube with just pure raw talent alone. And that idea just kind of disappeared. Like a lot of his other planned things that he wants to do, it just, in his mind, never happened. Because clearly it wasn't successful. He moved on from it and pretended it was a big joke or something and nobody took him seriously and whatever. Now, he said in one of his tweet replies that the reason why he has things fall through the cracks or whatever, he has a lot of things going on at once, and that's why we don't hear about, updates and things like that. And it's like, look, that might be the case, even if I give you the benefit of the doubt, but just the type of person you are, Keemstar, I don't trust you. I just don't. And there's a lot of people out there that are in a similar situation where they just don't want to believe what you say because of your past history of how you've handled things. And that one example I gave is one of a number of things that have happened along the way, and you just never followed through with them. In this tweet, you say that you have already started some back-end work and talking to people and putting this museum together, and that's all well and good. But the idea of having the gigantic audience that you have and just throwing that out there like just another tweet when it's not. It's not. There's people out there, those followers that will follow you off the cliff like lemmings, will do whatever you ask. And that's where the concern comes in for me. Even if the museum is a legitimate idea, I strongly disagree with the tweet feeler that you threw out there asking for donations for this, and if people would be willing to send things to you, because clearly that's telling people that you want free stuff sent to you. And the one thing I will give you is I don't think you're in a desperate need for money, and I don't look at you as a klepto or a hoarder or someone that just needs to steal stuff from people for the sake of stealing it. You seem like you are comfortable in life and making a good living, and there's truly no reason for you to lie to people about a museum. But still, I would wait on a tweet like that until you actually have something in motion, especially one that hints so hard at getting donations from people, because it's just, at the end of the day, to me, it's a bad look. It's a really bad look to ask for things from people before anything is even set in stone. But that's just me. I know there's a lot of people that are going to disagree with me on this, a lot of people that are going to defend Keem to the end, and I get that. But ultimately, I just look at this as a hysterical situation. Hysterical. The John Hancock thing, I was moved on from, I was done with. And then not like 1 week later, we got Keemstar saying, basically, he's going to do what John Hancock had promised people 4 years ago. He's going to do it a lot faster, and he already has it in motion. Just the idea of this all coming together all at once is just hysterical to me. I'd love to hear what you guys have to say about it. That's all I got for you today. Thanks so much for watching. And as always, you stay smashing. Smash.